Welcome back to the Average Joe's Story. If this is your first video, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, I hope you enjoy this content. Warning, this video may offend you and compromise your innocent thoughts. If you get offended easily, this video may not be for you. But we know warning signs don't work.
Somebody call the ambulance.
How's it going, everybody? Hope you're all having a great day. Today's video is going to be about child support and whether or not it should be regulated by the government. This topic has been on my list for a while, as I have family and friends that have requested that I do a video on this. The only reason why I was hesitant on this video was because I did not want to offend any viewers, but I decided it was time. I will be commenting on these stories as well as sharing my own at the end of this video. Hope you enjoy. Our first video is by Ben Alabaster on Quora.com. He titled it, "I pay $740 in child support and the mother doesn't use all of the money on my kid. She drives a new car and my son always wears old clothes. What can I do?" He basically asked a question on Quora.com and somebody replied with an answer. This person wrote, "Dude, if you're not happy with how your child support is being spent, then step up and buy everything your child needs instead of leaving it all to mom and thinking for a second that she can do all that for $740 a month. Keep the receipts for the $740 per month as proof that you've been meeting the requirements of your custody agreement. Get a lawyer and petition for custody. The truth is, if you have custody and you're truly tending to all the needs of your child, that $740 a month is going to seem like chump change. You have no idea what it costs to raise a happy and healthy child, not a clue. I'm divorced from my daughter's mother. We co-parent. We made an amicable agreement made with one another without courts or mediators. On paper, I pay $725 a month. This is a small fraction of what I really spend on them. Clothes, accessories, school supplies, food, medication, their home, everything. I probably spend 95% of my paycheck and my life seeing that my kids have a happy home and everything they need. And that includes ensuring that they have a happy mother. She works just as hard. If that means she treats herself to nice things occasionally so she feels good about her life and about herself, so be it. I don't begrudge her that. If mom is happy, the kids are happy. If my kids are happy, I'm happy. Is it hard? Crap, yes. It's hard knowing that I work 55 hours a week and having to sacrifice everything for everyone but myself, barely having time to date, let alone find a girlfriend. But that was the deal I made when I chose to have children, and divorced or not, that was my word. It was the word I gave my children, not their mother. I have a couple of things I'd like to comment on this comment of his. He basically mentioned how, that guy who asked what he should do should be lucky that he's paying $740 in child support, and that if he doesn't like it, he should spend more money on his kids. And on top of that, he shouldn't be mad that his wife treats herself to a new car and makes her son wear raggedy clothes. My opinion of this guy named Bill, it seems that he had the most nicest divorce in the entire world and cares not what his mother does with the money that he pays her. Also, it appears to me that this guy has such a lucrative job that he can actually dish out more than what he probably supposed to in court. I know for courts and child support, they make the father pay 20% of what their decree is or divorce is. Depending on how many children they have too. And this guy mentions that if you don't like it, spend more money on it, like everybody has a multi-million-dollar job. I honestly think that there could have been better replies for this first guy that, asked for help in Quora, but this guy was not really trying to help. It sounded like more he was just trying to show off that he had a bunch of money and he, didn't care whether his wife spent it on stuff for herself. Granted, I understand that some women, rather than spend their own money, they'd rather spend a little bit of child support to get some things for themselves. But it sounds like this first guy, his child's mother was spending all the child support on a car. And that's just the truth all around the world. So Bill might not know about the rest of the world, but him and his family are safe with his multi-million-dollar job, and on top of that, knowing that you know, he's fine with the way his wife is taking care of his kids, and that's great to him. But yeah, I think there is different people out there. Anyways, let's go ahead and go on with the next story now. This next story comes to us from Travis on Quora.com, and he titled it, "Why is Child Support So Biased Against Fathers?" He wrote, "Let's see what is unfair about American child support. For one, the system automatically assumes mothers make better parents than fathers, so women always get custodial custody. I would argue emotionally mature, well-grounded, no-nonsense, financially stable, logical, and rational men like myself make better role models for young kids and help build their self-esteem, but that's my opinion. Men make more money on average than women, so the system automatically takes from the man 17%, which is 20% these days, of his earnings and just gives the check to the mother with no oversight on how it is spent at all. How is this unfair? Well, as a father, if I made $120,000 a year but supported my kids 100%, and the mother works like me but never had to give monetary support for the child because I did it all, it would not matter in court. LOL. But if my support in cash never exceeded $200 for the child after housing, food, clothing, and etc., then how is it fair that I have to give $1,000 a month or 17% of my salary, which may only be like $5,000 or $10,000 more than hers, to her every month, when it realistically only costs less than $200 a month to take care of the child on a 50-50 basis? How many kids you need $1,000 a month to take care of them when they already have housing, food, clothing, and etc. from both parents? That is just nonsense, and that is the worst part of child support, and why it needs to be totally changed, or in my view done away with and replaced with 50-50 child care, not one parent, regardless of custodial status, getting so much money from the other. If it is in the best interest of the child, then how is it bankrupting or financially deflating one parent and blindly giving it to the other, helping the child in reality? It does not help the child, instead just allows nonsensical conflict between the parents to continue. Of course, all women will disagree because they are beneficiaries of the injustice and want it to remain, as it gives them excuses and a safety glass to break when they want to. I do not blame women. They are just doing what they have an easy opportunity to do. What I blame is the corrupt and sissified judicial system that allowed child support, alimony, and all other cash grabs that women enjoy to go on. I 100% agree with Travis on this here. I honestly think that the child support system is something that needs to be looked more into. But of course, when you have, and I understand there's going to be some hurt feelings in this, but comment is a comment. When you have women power and all the injustices that women suffer throughout the years, I understand 100%. I've seen the movies where women were treated unfairly. Okay, but at the same time, not every woman is treated unfairly today. Granted, I do know that some women do use their child support sufficiently. They even may give back to their husband depending on what their status is. I remember a friend of mine saying he was paying child support and had lost his job and was still managing to give the same amount of child support that he needed to pay, and his ex gave it back to him, or whatever she didn't need. And so she had a job and she didn't need his child support, but she said she was, according to him, she told him she was putting it away for college if she didn't need it, which, bravo to her and other girls like that around the world and women around the world who are doing that type of thing. That's how you should use child support. Then, of course, you have the other women, which is, I'm going to say, probably about a good 60% of the women that are on child support are like this. Get child support, and then they don't get a job because they think it's enough for them to go live off them. They live with their parents for the entire time to cut off on their bills, and they do not do anything else to help the economical system. If anything, again, a lot of the women that are going to be on this are going to be like, that's untrue and everything else. It's my opinion. There are plenty of opinions to go around, but I'm sure I agree with at least 70% of the population that are divorced and that are men. So, like I was mentioning, those women that abuse the child support system, I think they should be monitored. Honestly, I mean, that's just, if they monitor everything else in the world, why not monitor the child support? I mean, there's just so many cases. I've heard from so many people, I've read so many things over the internet about how child support is very unbiased, and especially against fathers. And I even heard of 2 situations so far that happened, not something that I read on the internet, but I heard of, for example, one where a friend of mine had gained custodial parenting privileges, I guess you could say, or became the custodial parent because the mother was found to be negligent, and on top of that was a drug addict. But when he took her to court to try to reverse the role and make her pay child support, she got a free lawyer, and on top of that said she wouldn't want to pay child support, but she wouldn't mind the him being the custodial parent, the friend of mine. As long as she didn't have to pay child support, she would agree to those terms. And of course, the judge could have gone back and forth on that, and the lawyer of my friend's like, look, you should probably take it because this could go on forever and it's just going to cost you more money. So he agreed to that. The other case that I remember was a friend of mine who finally won custodial parental rights as well, but at the same time, the judge also didn't declare that she had to pay child support. She just basically lost her parental rights to one of her kids. So, why don't they make women pay child support? That's actually, the question that's, needs to be brought up. But anyways, on to the next story. Let's keep it going. This next story comes to us from Bill M. Bowling III on Quora.com, which he titled, How Did Child Support Affect You as a Father? He wrote, My ex came to me one day and said, I'm going to need child support. And I said, okay. Then she asked if I wanted to go through court or do it myself. I told her I would take care of it and proceeded to look up my child support requirements for both the state she lived in and my state, Louisiana and Mississippi, respectively. After finding out what both states required, I did the math and added extra to make sure I was good. The first time we met to give her money, I had brought a receipt book to keep track of the payments. She had brought a friend, and the friend said she was surprised that I would give that amount without an order from the court. That her ex had to pay about half of what I was paying voluntarily. He made more than I did and complained about the bit that he had paid out for his 2 children. I said simply that they're my kids. After a couple times of meeting, I decided that it was too much hassle dealing with her and came up with a different idea. I went to Walmart and got a Walmart money card. I put her name to it and we both got a card with our own names on it. I was able to put money on it each month. She was able to use the card or draw it off completely. The monthly cost of $3 was cheaper than the cost in time and fuel. I learned immediately that she bought a lot of stuff that I wouldn't approve of. I looked it up and found out that I have no say in where or how the money is used. The first year we started this, I found out her boyfriend had taken all the money he made and ran off. He ran off drinking and God knows what else. She wasn't working at all at that time. I have a Discover card and I had to keep the points to use for Christmas. Since her 2 new kids wouldn't have a Christmas, I offered to let her choose up to $100 per child in gifts so they too would have a Christmas. My 2 daughters remember that Dad saved Christmas. My 2 girls know that I sent money each month, every month, and even when I lost my job. I called her up and I told her I had lost my job, but I would keep my word. Even when I had shoulder surgery from an automobile accident and was out of work for 3 months, I sent her money, though it was $100 less per month. She got mad at that, but it is what it is. I had no money coming in and I was living off my savings. When I went back to work after the surgery, I was making less money than before, so I recalculated and sent the new amount. $50 less per month if I remember correctly. She was not happy with that either, but it was still more than the courts would have required. I sued my former employer for the 3 months I had lost in wages and settled for $10K. After legal fees, I received $7,500. To that money, I added $500 and set it aside for my daughters to get a vehicle, $4K each. I knew that she hadn't planned at all for them to drive. When my oldest daughter got her driver's license, which I paid $450 for, the course, in my day, driver's ed was free through school, he says. I also paid for my youngest daughter's driver's ed, of course. I got them both cell phones and paid for the monthly service. I wasn't going to allow my daughters out on the road without a way to call for help in case they get stranded somehow. My oldest got her car on her birthday and my youngest on hers 14 months later. I actually had to add about $400 more for each vehicle because of taxes and stuff. Now the question was, how did this affect me? It affected me positively. I believe here's why. They are my kids. I made that clear from the start. My kids now know that I would walk through fire for them because when I had hard times, I still made sure they were taken care of. They saw their mothers spend their child support money on drink, smokes, tattoos, etc. while they didn't get the stuff that they should. They got to see me make sure they had school supplies. My youngest daughter plays the flute awesomely well. The flute she got was bought by me above and beyond child support. She used the school flute to learn, and when she wanted to do it in high school, I got her a really nice Yamaha YFL 381H. Intermediate flute, silver, head gold, lip plate mint, and made her dream happen. She was drum major for her senior year, very, very proud. Because of child support, I was able to build a relationship with my daughters. Because of child support, my children were able to see the real me and not some twisted version spat out by their mother. Because of child support, my children saw that I would go without to make sure that they didn't have to. Thank you for your time. So, this guy here, honestly, this is another case of where this guy, obviously found really, really good jobs to where he can live on his own, where he can pay his own rent, pay for his own supplies that he needs, his own daily needs for life, I guess you could say, and yet still found a way to, give the mother child support out of his own pocket plus more than that. Now, honestly, he had 2 kids. He says he did pay more than the courts would have asked him to pay, but he should know that at any time the mother could have went to court and said, I never received anything from my ex-husband, and even if he had proof that he was paying her, the courts wouldn't allow it. At least not the ones that I know from. I know a lot of courts would say that you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to go by the law, which is to claim child support. Now, if he wanted to pay child support extra on top of that, that would have been on him. But he made his own choice, and it turned out to work well, and the kids saw their mother for what she was. Sad to say, as I mentioned, kids these days are witnessing that a lot more, where their mothers are just collecting child support and spending it at their own will, knowing that their mothers don't get any jobs for themselves and coast off the child support. I usually don't let any of my personal stories out, but I figured, what the heck, this subject is in relation to me as well. Child support affected me very, very badly since the day that I divorced my ex-wife. Because I was divorced out of court, I never had the option to pay child support on my own. So that was demanded by the court, so that's how it was from the very beginning. Even if I was given the choice, I still would have had the courts monitor that for me so that they can know that I have been paying child support. My ex-wife is one of those 60% of the other women who have never held a job in their entire life, coasted off child support from about 3 different fathers after we divorced. I'm not complaining about paying child support. I just wish that it was monitored. If it was monitored, then, she would never have spent that money on exactly what this guy said she spent hers on: smokes, tattoos, cigarettes, going out to parties, whatever it is she spent it on. It was just a lot of wasted money. And to add more fuel to the fire, she knew that since her dad was a police officer, that she could get away with not actually upholding to the visitation rights. So, like I said, I don't mind paying what I'm supposed to pay. It wasn't fair that, the court said 20% of my paychecks have to go to her, but it is what it is. And then on top of that, she's not upholding her visitation rights. I haven't got to see my child for many years. It's just, it was just total unfairness. And when I took her to court for it, there was somehow all the police cases that I, called in about disappeared. Long story short, this went over the course of my entire life until my son recently turned 18 years old, and even though he's 18 years old, she somehow convinced him to flunk out of high school. Not out of high school, but flunk for a good while. Then when the courts took notice, they sent me a letter saying they are now making sure that she is not purposely convincing her son to flunk, and have been saying that they may remove child support or may resort to other methods to restrict it. My bottom line is basically, for those of you all who are single and ready to mingle, make sure that you're not being conned by a con artist who is okay with having a bunch of babies just to get her through the next 18 years of life. Because you never know, you might actually end up with someone who is that 60% and plans to spend the next 18 years of her life coasting with your child support, making excuses saying she doesn't need to get a job because she's too good for any job and she's too overqualified for everything. Well, that's it, you guys. Hope you enjoyed my video. Please make sure to leave that like and subscribe. Thank you so very much. Thank you so much for watching, and if you really like this content, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. See you on the next one.